So in conversation, a very good point was brought up. Something that I kind of believe shouldn't be a certain way, but it doesn't mean I'm right. And it has to do with CWIs. A certified weld inspector, as I understand it and have seen in the field, is not required to be a welder or have any kind of welding experience. I have had a lot of them tell me they were welders. Whether that was true or not, I'm not here to decide. But others I know for a fact were never welders and don't know how to weld whatsoever, so they don't really know what's going on underneath the hood. The question then is it actually a requirement, or should it be a requirement, that they are welders first before being a certified weld inspector? Reason why I bring that up is because for a while I believed it was very important, and it just blew me out of the water that a welding inspector could come up and inspect my weld, but he had no idea what it took to give him what he was being so picky about. Because I've had some that are very picky. I mean, had the dentist pick, little tooth dentistry pick, and would go on the bottom of the pipe and be like picking at the toe of my weld, make sure there's no undercut. I mean, with magnifying glass and a flashlight and picking, I mean, I've had inspectors on pipeline spend like 10 minutes. And it probably wasn't even their fault. It was coming from up higher, telling them that they got to get more strict on what they're letting pass, not pass by, the company that was obviously paying this third-party x-ray crew for doing. So all that being brought back around is it actually important that they understand how to weld and what goes on with welding, or is it just important for them to do what they already do, which is they do understand what they're looking at and what they're looking for. They don't really need to understand how it goes about doing that or understand that much about welding if they can read film properly, and then they can also inspect visually, and they can check off everything that's required of a visual inspection and a film reading. I've run into a lot of them that can't really read the film properly, and that's at times when they make calls, it's frustrating because it doesn't really line up with anything. They say there's 18 straight inches of slag inclusion and it's a perfectly straight line. Every time I've cut into the welds that have been called, and some were not mine, some were, that it always was just the edge of the bead, and it might have been very inexperienced techs, I'm not sure. But the point being is, does understanding welding actually or should be a requirement for weld inspectors? Or like anything else, is it just the problem of running into a very inexperienced person that does not know their craft yet, and it just bothers me and others so much because it does actually affect our jobs. A lot of men have lost jobs due to inaccurate calls and such. So just posing this question to you guys, curious what you think. For a long time I really thought it was amazing that they were inspecting my weld, but they've never welded a day in their life. Anymore, I've tried taking a step back and kind of looking at it from all sides, and I'm not really sure. I think you don't really have to be a welder to be a CWI, as long as you know your craft very well, and that is the inspection side of the weld. Knowing when you can be lenient and when it can't be lenient. Laws are laws, but they're definitely kind of more guidelines than anything, as well as sometimes you got to look at the actual situation. I believe be able to look at the situation and know that some things aren't going to be met to your code just because it was a tight spot or a tight fit or whatever it is. Sometimes things will go just a little bit outside spec, but it will be all right. So you guys have a wonderful day today. Just another thought for you, and I'll talk to you later.